there were 2 specialization tracks you could choose from. You had to choose one or the other. And I chose art because I'd already done some programming and I had a good grasp of coding logic and symbolic logic and digital logic design from college. So I did the art track. It was worthwhile to do the art track for the simple reason that I learned 3ds Max. And 3ds Max is a lot like Maya, so there I got my 3D modeling bases covered. However, unless you are working at a studio that uses a program like 3ds Max to build levels, which nowadays it's not, I can't really say if it's common or uncommon, because there are so many editors out there nowadays that, and the core editors are Unreal, far fewer Radiant-based editors. Like, Radiant is what id uses. So modern id Tech 5, what Rage was made with, came from Quake and Doom, which were the same engine. They were just iterations of the same engine. Prey, Human Head made Prey, and that was a Radiant-based game. I think Hammer, Valve's engine that Half-Life and Portal came from, is based on an early Radiant, and then they branched off and made their own version of the engine. But much of the stuff works pretty much the same. You're using BSP, binary space partitions, which are like, it's kind of like 3D modeling, a light version of 3D modeling. It's more like building terrain, where you're doing height maps and patch meshes. I mean, I could do a separate video for all of these different concepts, but so you've got Unreal is one of the biggies. Unity, which tends to be for smaller games. Radiant, Call of Duty is one of the most notable games that is still using a fairly dated Radiant engine. There's lots of 2D engines that are out now. Like, there's actually a pretty inexpensive thing called, I think it's like Game Maker Studio. I bought a copy of it for $100, and it comes with like all the plugins and everything you'd need. That is what the guy who made Gunpoint used to make his game. And he's just a single guy. He'd never made a game before. I think he's primarily a programmer. And I don't know if he outsourced art or how he was able to do all of the separate things you need to do. But, yeah, he apparently set up all of the art, programming, design, and audio himself, which is amazing for somebody with no experience. So, and he did that in 2 years. So you don't necessarily even have to join a studio. If you've got a good day job that pays the bills and you enjoy, why even try to join a studio? You could just make what games you want to make and start up your own. That guy he was quoted in an interview as saying, "I've made so much on Gunpoint that I don't have to think about working for the foreseeable future." That is a quote that I'm sure anyone would love to be able to say. So as a designer, you will not, in most cases, you will not need to know art. You will need to know about art and how art is built, and say the core fundamentals of art theory, those kinds of like things you would learn in art school, in order to talk to an artist. And cross-team or cross-discipline communication is very important in this industry, especially when you're working in a large team. But as far as doing art on a day-to-day basis, most designers, like I have not touched 3ds Max in, oh my god, probably 8 years at this point. So yeah, focus on scripting. It lets you play around with gameplay, and it's not a super common skill among many designers, at least not a strong skill. So it's another one of those things that will make you a very valuable employee if you can do it very well, especially if you know multiple languages and you understand core coding logic and can translate that across languages. So like visual scripting versus text scripting. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but a lot of designers know art, but it's like poof goes their practice when you don't need to touch art tools beyond, say, making 2D maps when you're writing up your docs and 3D maps when you're writing up your docs. But yeah, don't be sold into spending a ton more money while you're in school to become a designer / artist, because frequently that's not what's needed by the company. It's handy to have both those skills, but the problem with having both of those skills is you're going to be put into one role or the other, and the other skills that you're not using on a day-to-day basis are going to get rusty. So if you have the option to avoid getting yourself into, say, another $20,000 or $40,000 debt because some school is pushing these additional classes that you don't need to graduate, be wary. You don't necessarily need them. So, that helps, and I'll see you next time.